Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our North Miami regular council meeting. It is Tuesday, and if it's the second or the fourth Tuesday, it is a regular meeting in the great city of North Miami. There are several observances that we are doing this month for the month of June, which we've celebrated the Caribbean American Month, Pride Month, Juneteenth, which is this weekend coming, Father's Day, as well as a lot as we start to get ready for our hurricane preparedness. Are we going to start having those briefing at the beginning? Okay, the hurricane preparedness due to a lot of different flooding in the city and all that good stuff. So again, welcome to our regular council meeting. Roll call, and then we do the
Mayor
Pledge of Allegiance.
Dazume,
Go ahead. You said-
Vice Mayor Esme Irvin,
Present.
Councilman Galvin,
Here.
Councilwoman Timothy,
Here.
Councilman France Charles.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum to proceed.
Thank you so much. And we're going to have the pledge by Assistant Chief Donald Blanchard of the North Miami Police Department, followed by invocation by Pastor Mike Davis of the Prince of Peace Missionary Baptist Church, Inc.
Please place your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Let us bow our heads in prayer. Holy One, known by many names and beyond all names, Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Spirit of commitment, Spirit of justice, we ask your blessing on the people who have been called to lead the community in which we live, work, and play. Lord God, thank you for your abundance of love and care for us. Lord, please fill us with your wisdom and your compassion for us always. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pastor David. The order of business. Any addition, deletion, amendment to the agenda, Madam City Manager?
Apart from the special presentation that we're removing?
Yes.
That is it.
Okay, awesome. There is a
Which one is
change.
that?
There is a change to the agenda. The special presentation will be removed. It will be postponed to the next meeting. That's basically that. Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Attorney, are we set?
Yes, Mayor, your agenda is set. You may proceed.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Madam Clerk, Deputy Clerk.
Is it the special presentation for city alleys or both of them are gone? Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, so we only doing this, the special presentation.
So we're doing
Who's doing it?
city
Okay.
event.
Oh, yeah, that's true. The way I have it.
The special presentation for the alleyways first.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I thought.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Whistler Pierre Lewis, Public Works Director. And through the manager, I'll be presenting a presentation on the alleyways. This was done in conjunction with Mr. Lazaro Rimon from NSD, the Neighborhood Services Director. So throughout the city, there are 236 alleyways, and most are concentrated in residential areas. The alleyways are the right-of-way behind the properties or between two abutting properties. They vary in length, width, and they vary in condition. Many of the alleyways allow access to city-owned and privately owned utilities. As it stands in our code, the property owner is responsible for the maintenance of the alleyway, as well as in many other municipalities. There are some challenges in maintaining alleyways. The challenges include, but are not limited to, illegal dumping, overgrown vegetation, access and visibility, and unclear ownership. This next slide, you'll see the illegal dumping challenge. Alleyways are often become hotspots for illegal dumping, which not only creates an eyesore, but can cause and pose health and environmental issues. As you see in the pictures, these are different instances when the NSD's clean team has had to go out to clean and remove items that were illegally dumped in an alleyway. There are also challenges that include the overgrown vegetation. These situations may call for the NSD to use their contractor for lot mowing or tree trimming services to address the overgrown vegetation. So without regular maintenance, the vegetation in alleyways can become overgrown, obstructing passage and potentially damaging the nearby structures. There are several city ordinances and codes that pertain to the maintenance of alleyways. I will not go through all of them, but in short, it stresses that the alleyways need to be maintained to be clean and unobstructed. These are a few more codes pertaining to the alleyway maintenance, and I'd like to highlight one. It's 515, which says that it's the property owner's responsibility for the removal of low-hanging branches and trimming or removal of plant material extending beyond the property line. Next slide. Alleyways are currently maintained through enforcement. Our NSD department goes through several steps to ensure that the alleyways are maintained properly once an issue is identified. In addition to actual enforcement, they have gone out and informed and educated the public. There have been occasions that they have informed me that they have distributed educational information regarding the property owner's duty to maintain the alleyway in areas abutting their property. There has been conversation regarding keeping alleyways, and of course, each situation has pros and cons. The pros to keeping the alleyways are potential community assets. So if the property is well maintained, it can serve as a valuable connector within a community, improve pedestrian accessibility, and reduce vehicular traffic. It's also an opportunity for revitalization. These alleyways can be converted to vibrant public spaces for community events, art, and local businesses. We've seen some for farmers markets and things of that nature, where communities get together and they paint the alleyways and make certain improvements, and they all contribute and use it as a valuable resource to the community. And some cons that go along with this would be the maintenance costs that are associated with maintaining the alleyways and the safety concerns. Abandoning alleyways, the pros are reduced maintenance responsibilities on the city's part. That would become the property owner's, solely the property owner's responsibility if that becomes the case. And there is lost potential because abandoning alleyways means that you give up the potentials where if it was properly utilized and maintained, it would benefit the community. Also, it may have a potential to increase illegal activities. There have been several alleyways abandoned and vacated in the past in the city. I found several ordinances and, not ordinances, resolutions. Typically, it's done with development projects where the developer submits an application to our Community Planning and Development Department. That's where the process starts, and they have abandoned or vacated alleyways through that process.
If I can ask a question, has there been any abandonment for residential purposes? Like if has a resident come in to ask for an alleyway to be abandoned?
Since I've been here, we've done it one time, I believe, in District 1. It was in San Souci.
District, okay.
So a few policy recommendations. The first one will be to conduct a comprehensive survey of the alleyways. You can determine the ownership, access, assess the current conditions, and identify any redevelopment potential. A second recommendation would be to develop an alleyway master plan. This could outline a strategy for improving alleyways in ways that bring out their natural strengths and aligns with the public goals. A third recommendation would be to invest in critical infrastructure improvements. This could include installing new lighting, improving waste management, and introducing greenery to make the alleyways more inviting and functional. Lastly, but not the only recommendation, it'd be to engage the community in alleyway revitalization initiatives. This could involve organizing public events in alleyways to generate interest and give residents a vision for future safety. That concludes the presentation. Thank you for your attention. And I also have Mr. Ramon here. We're both available for any questions that you may have.
And Mayor, I should have prefaced this by saying that Councilwoman Timothy and Councilman Charles had asked for us to provide a presentation and an assessment on the alleyways in the city. We do have issues in various districts where it's either unkempt, we do have illegal dumping. Some of them have been encroached on, so that was the point of the presentation.
Can I, Mr. Ramon, can you please introduce yourself to the public? Welcome to our great city.
Welcome, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members, Charter officers, and residents of North Miami. My name is Lazaro Raymond, and a proud servant of the residents here through the manager. Thank you very much.
So previously, the code department, for anyone
Yes,
who's
that's what I was
wondering. Code has changed his name. I don't know if we put that
That's
out
the
there.
new one?
Oh, you
That's the
will?
new-
Okay.
yeah.
It's a soft rollout.
Soft rollout.
Okay,
Neighborhood services.
Yeah, I kind of like that a little bit better, softer. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And this was very, very good. Thank you, Councilwoman
If-
Timothy and Councilman Charles. I do
Mhm.
have a couple of questions.
If I may, Mayor,
go
just
ahead.
to kind of give some history as well as to why this was requested. There was residents that approached, I know there's some developers that have approached, asking for us to abandon the alleyways. And I wanted, of course, it would have, instead of just sponsoring one item for a resident or you know, a developer, whomever, wanted to have a comprehensive view on what our situations are as it relates to the alleyways and what could be done. So I know staff came up with some policy recommendations, and that's something that we'll probably bring at a later date, but definitely wanted to have the discussion to see where, you know, the consensus were as it relates to the alleyways. And I don't know if Councilman Charles, I didn't know that we both requested it, but if you could as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor and Councilwoman. You know, since I came to the council, I was one of the first point, because I do believe the way we have the alleyways now is not helping the city. They are ugly. We got, in some of them, we got homelessness in my district, that I can attest to that. And also, residents are complaining, and see if we can help out, at least clean them and find a way to talk to them, and so that they can help out in the maintain. But I think in maintaining them, but I do believe we need to have a board discussion. This is not going to be enough. That's just a first step. We need to sit down as a city and see exactly what we want to do with them, because that is not the great city of North Miami. Because if you work with them and then you see exactly what they look like, we cannot just close our eyes and say this is not our problem. It is a problem, so we need to address it, and we need to spend time and work on it and find viable solutions. So I'm just gonna stop right there for tonight. But I have a lot more, but I'll just stop right there.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. I know in the past we talked about residents coming in. The part of the challenges is them understanding it's their responsibility to maintain it. I mean, we all have homes here in the city, and we have these alleyways. In the past, we used to use them, and we were the only one. The trash can, when we had the in-house the trash, the sanitation, they used to go, the truck that we used to, our public works used to go through our alleyways, and we used to put the trash in the back. So I think that's why we have most of the streets in the city with an alleyway. We need to figure out the best way. I've seen some cities that, and I like the recommendations you guys have. I do think that we need to kind of bring the residents together and figure out what we could do to have a more global plan. I think the councilman is talking. But Whistler, question, part of the money that the Biden administration has for transportation, can that be part of that? The part, because they basically say, you know, whatever the item is, let us know. Can that be a plan in terms of addressing some of the street? Because I know that's a problem. Some of the alleyways you can't get through.
Through the manager, I'd have to look at the specifics for what the funds can be used for. If it's not one of the Biden funding sources, there may be other ones that may be available so that we can address it. So we will definitely look into that.
No, I'm just saying, they said whatever information that we have for transportation, they need a price. So if you could get a price on this, Madam Manager, on whatever the project that we decide to resurface our alleyways to do something. Because I do think if we come up with something more strategic, lighting, you know, do that, residents will, you know, with re-education, and it's not looking appealing right now because we have an older city, but I think if we are able to get some funding, these folks are saying, hey, I have money, tell us what you want to do. This was earlier this week in my office. I'm saying, could this be a project, since we're dealing with transportation here, not all of it, we might not be able to address all of our issues with the money, but there might be some source that we may be able to get through some other project. I'm not in favor of giving or selling it to, you know, to developers, residents, yes. I mean, you know, if that's part of the plan, but developer, we already have our fair share with them in the city, and to do whatever that we need to do. That's just my side on it. If anybody else has anything to say. on that one, but-
If we can just elaborate more on the residents, because I know if you look at, I didn't realize it was 236.
Yeah.
And I think Public Works had to go through and count them, so thank you to staff at
This is
Public
very
Works
good.
for putting this presentation together, and Neighborhood Services. But for some of them that are smaller, or residents may come in and saying, hey, you know, they have to maintain it, it's costing them this amount, and and their landscaper to cut these trees. Is the council in favor of maybe creating a process so that we can allow for some of them that are a nuisance? If the residents did want to take them in, is that something that, no? Or
Councilwoman, that already exists.
Oh, it
Yeah.
does?
Yeah, I mean, a person
Okay.
can come in and do an application through CP&D, we haven't
Yeah.
changed the name, through CP&D, and that's what happened in the case we're talking about. I think that gentleman had either built his fence already into
Oh,
the
yeah.
alleyway, or he was trying to build a pool. I don't remember what the exact circumstances were. But they came in, and right now you have to pay for that land.
How much is that fee?
It depends on the land. I think it's just like any other sale of land. We have to do an appraisal, two
Appraisal
appraisals,
for
right?
alleyway?
So I think back in 2018, we had proposed as part of the Clean City Task Force to just abandon all the alleyways, and then what would happen was you just draw a line down the alleyway. Whatever neighbor on one side gets that portion, the other neighbor gets the other portion. But that was turned down by the council at the time.
Yeah.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
And there's another challenge to that. At least in D4, 85%, about 85 to 90% of them are access FPNL. So that's another thing
Yeah.
that you need to look up. All the
Yeah.
yeah, that's something that we have to look up also, because that's where
Yeah,
FPL.
if you were in Bend down,
Mhm.
and that's what I was saying earlier. That's what we used to use as a city to go get the trash, and then when we decided to change company, we do it on the street. So
Could there maybe
It-
be a case-by-case scenario that can be done administratively for those that want to abandon
I
it?
would actually, I mean, whatever the council decides, but I would actually recommend that it be some sort of case by case or area by area. The other day, someone came to my office. It was actually not far from City Hall. They were talking about abandoning an alleyway there, and I couldn't even see the alleyway on the map. But I guess what Councilman said, or actually the mayor said about it being trash collection. So some of the areas that are not necessarily residential, but they're commercial, there are alleyways there, and those alleyways were where we used to put, but you can't identify, it looked like a parking lot to me. When I actually went on the property appraiser's website, it didn't belong to anybody, it belonged to the city, but it's in the middle of a cluster of buildings, and it's an alleyway. So if we did something wholesale, just gave out alleyways, then, you know, it would probably,
So
it could
maybe
create
it
a
is
mess. So I think we'd need, I'm glad they went and did a survey of the alleyways, but we'd probably have to do it on
A
a
case-by-case.
on a case-by-case or area-by-area
If
basis.
And-
we
and
don't mind doing a
I
case-by-case.
think with the case by case, Mr. Attorney, can we find out, or can you put in place where there is a safeguard for FPNL or AT&T, whoever needs to go in there? You know, now, somebody would say, well, it's my property, they can't go in because my neighbor, they'll do
No,
that.
they actually, I mean, they're gonna have an easement to that property, so, you know, they can come on your property. I mean, there's
Oh,
an
they
easement,
can?
yeah, to do that. I mean, where I live, there's an easement. I mean, they can just come into
Yeah,
your
if it was
property
in my
and
backyard.
go check there.
So could the recommendation be that we ask for staff to come back with a scenario where whatever the policy would be to do case-by-case scenario of those that
You
want,
already have that, is my understanding. People could do that, right?
but
Well,
abandoning it?
I think what Councilwoman is
holistic
saying is to
approach.
do a abandonment of alleyways in a larger scale process, but not one, because the other issue with people doing it one by one property owner by one property owner, is then you have one property owner encroaching into the alleyway, and now you can't get a car down there because
Yeah,
that
that's
person builds
true.
a fence
That-
right in the middle. Or if you do it at the end of the street, now no one down the
No
rest
one
of the
down-
street can get in, so it can get, you know, so you either do it all or you don't, but you shouldn't.
Yeah, I
Doing it
think
one
you're
by
right.
one could create a problem.
Councilwoman Timothy, we look at it case by
The
case and we'll
case-by-case.
decide, but I think we, as a council, should, you know, review this and take on the challenge and find money and come up with something. We look, clean up and.
That would be the first
You
step.
got the farmers, not the farmers market, but the. what they
And
call
City
it?
of Miami recently did a
the-
program where they went through, they paved it and they
Yeah,
made it like.
that's
a-
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So
for the larger one,
transportation,
yeah.
we could get that, and then I think if you get this looking good, where you could have your dominoes, where you could have activation space, and if you do that, people will take, you know, pride in terms of making sure that this is nice. This is, you know, we agree up on it, because I could tell you, like right now on my block, I could go and tell my folks on both sides of the thing, hey, we could do this. Mine is not too bad. Now, you can see it was bad,
And-
but we cleaned it.
And if I may, to some of them, we have also our meters, water
Yes,
meters
yes,
out there.
yeah.
And I know for most, I talk to a lot of residents. If we go on and do the first step and clean them,
Yeah.
they will maintain. So we need to have a plan. I think the first step is to start thinking about funds to clean those alleyways, and we cannot close our eyes on that. That will be the first step, and after that, we can think about
50
other
people in the
ways
clean
to. Yeah, exactly.
Do a
Yeah.
nice thing.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have somebody that wants to abandon it, we could address that, and then,
Mm-hmm.
but
You guys want to abandon, you want to take on the case, or should we leave, should that be a process done administratively, or maybe
whatever
through
the
a board?
administrative
Yeah.
would do, I think, you know.
I don't know.
So it
Yeah.
sounds like you would like us to follow the policy recommendations that staff made and get back to you on, you know,
What's the
apart
policy,
from that.
staff?
Apart from conducting a comprehensive survey of the alleyway, a master plan to determine, you know, like the residential alleyways, to get the
Well-
input from the community, and also to do the improvements, and that's what you're talking about, Mayor.
Right, but
Um,
I think on top of this, I think one of the major thing is, let's clean up.
Let's clean
Yes,
up.
let's
Let's clean
clean
up.
up
That would be the
first.
first thing.
We need to
We're
find the
gonna
money to
determine how
clean
much
up.
it's gonna cost once we do the survey.
Yeah,
We'll
I don't
determine
know
how
if
it
we're
is.
making any policy decision tonight. I think we're just talking, and we said. we
No,
need to
I know,
what
I'm
what
just
she's saying
saying-
is they'll look into all of it and present it back to us.
Yeah.
Is
Oh,
that
okay.
my understanding?
Based
Yeah.
on the
Okay,
staff's
based on-
recommendation.
Yeah.
And one last thing, Mayor, I remember way back when somebody did, I think they were part of the DAPAC committee or something, they had gotten a planning grant, I forgot from which nonprofit, about activating the alleyways in downtown, behind the CRA building, that whole, because it goes down like 3 blocks.
Sarah would know.
Yeah.
Activating it?
Yeah, painting it,
Oh.
turning it into street fairs and stuff. But there was, somebody, I think it was a resident or something.
Sarah
I'm gonna have to
McDevitt
take my
would
brain
know.
back a few years.
You would know.
But I remember a presentation was done at the DAPAC. I have to, but I do remember they got a planning grant for that. So there are funds available for planning grants to determine places that we can activate as a public space. So that's what I was meant to.
They have so much money in DC right now, so they throwing it away. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
City events?
They don't come in here.
I pick 10:47 for tonight's in the council. 10:47.
We got already did 8:30. You went on the night.
10:47.
You got a counter offer, Vice Mayor.
Prove me wrong.
Councilwoman? You got quiet over there? I'll say 9:30. No, 9 o'clock will be out. Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, then I move to adjourn.
Good
Honest to
evening.
gosh, it's really nice that we can sit up here and be a little silly because I've sat with so many commissions that never cracked a smile. So I applaud all of you.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor, council, staff, North Miami neighbors, and guests. My name is Tracy Pollock, and I'm presenting the following announcements on behalf of the city of North Miami. Celebrate Pride Month throughout June with North Miami Public Library. For a list of Pride events, visit northmiamifl.gov/celebrate. Through a collaboration with Moolah Wireless, Mayor Alex DeSume will distribute free tablets to eligible residents while supplies last. For details, visit northmiamifl.gov/tablet. The hurricane season is here and will last through November 30th. Get notifications about emergencies such as severe weather, road closures, evacuations, and learn about important community news and events by signing up for NOMI Alert. Register today for emergency alerts at northmiamifl.gov NOMI Alert. The North Miami Parks and Recreation Department is offering youth summer camps. They are Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. To register, call 305-895-9840. The North Miami Public Library has planned a fun-filled summer for everyone. From Monday through Saturday, there are activities at the library, including Summer Reading Challenge. Please visit the website at northmiamifl.gov calendar. Mark your calendar and join Vice Mayor Mary Estime Irving for a drive-through distribution of hurricane supplies on Thursday, June 15th, beginning 6 p.m. at Griffin Park. It's first come, first serve, while supplies last. And after you get your supplies, you can go and attend the flood information workshop. You have a second chance to attend on Thursday, June 15th, from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Joe Celestine Community Center. Spend time with MOCA on Saturday, June 17th, from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. for a conversation with the South Florida artists featured in the exhibit. Join the North Miami Public Library every fourth Saturday of the month as it hosts first-time homebuyers education workshop in Creole from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Connect with Councilman Pierre France Charles at his local business development town hall meeting on Thursday, June 29th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Joe Celestine Community Center. Experience Mocha on Friday, June 30th at 8 p.m. for an evening of jazz at Mocha, featuring Cuban-born singer-songwriter Leslie Cartea. The CBI is moving. Beginning Monday, July 3rd, the CIB will have a new location at 13751 Northwest 7th Avenue in North Miami. For details, visit northmiamifl.gov/CIB. Mark your calendar again to attend the Back to School event on Monday, August 14th. In preparation, please participate in the donation drive happening now. For details, visit northmiamifl.gov/celebrate. The City of North Miami is closed Monday, June 19th in observance of Juneteenth. To stay up to date with NOMI news and events, log on to North Miami's website at northmiamifl.gov. Click on Connect with NOMI on the home page to sign up for the city's newsletters. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at North Miami FL and on Twitter at NOMI News. This concludes the city's announcements.
Thank you so much, Tracy.
Welcome.
Appreciate it. City appointments.
Yes, we have two board appointments, Education Relation Board and Library Board by Councilman Charles. I can read the resolutions into record. One is for appointing Farah Mem to the Education Relation Board, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, appointing Farah Mem to the Education Relation Board, term ending on November 19, 2024, in accordance with the Resolution 2022-R-55, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
But for both. So
For
that
both,
we-
yeah, just, yeah.
So do you
Yeah.
want me to read the other
Yes.
resolutions?
Yeah, just the name into the
Okay.
record, I think. The library, who's the
Second.
library board?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The library board, who is,
The Library Board will be Blanca Cobo.
okay.
Let's go.
A resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, appointing Blanca Cobo to the Library Board in accordance with Chapter 16, Article 2, Section 16-17 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinance, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Charles. I just need a second.
Second.
I have Vice Mayor Estimate Irving, second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item pass, both item passes 5-0.
Thank you. Consent agenda.
Consent agenda. Unless a member of the City Council wishes to remove a specific item from the portion of the agenda, tabs A through F constitute the consent agenda. These resolutions and items are self-explanatory, are not expected to require additional review or discussion. These items will be recorded as individually numbered resolutions adopted unanimously by the following motion, that the consent agenda comprise of tabs A through F adopted.
Thank you so much.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Estimate Irving to approve the item, seconded by Councilman Charles. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 5-0.
Thank you
Mr.
so
Mayor,
much.
if I
Yes,
may,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, for tab E, Madam Manager, I know I had a question. I know this is the fireworks for 4th of July. Is that the one? Did it include light up? Because I remember in the past, the previous company that we used for fireworks would also give us the Light Up North Miami as well.
Last year
Chris-
wasn't an issue with
Are-
them?
Yeah,
Was it last year?
Christine will give a detail, but apparently it was not included.
trying
in
to
the
It was not
previous one.
included.
We had to pay extra for it.
Oh, okay.
So, but she can
It
give you
used
the
to be a little
history.
freebie that we got
Oh.
from the old company.
The history of what you were explaining.
They didn't have the
Good
fireworks.
evening, Mayor and Council. Christine Carney, Interim Parks and Recreation Director. So in the past, it was included. It stopped in 2018 because it was part of a contract. It was an agreement that had happened, but that contract has expired and we've moved on.
And this
So,
is a new company?
yes.
Okay. They didn't want to give
And
us
what
a
you
little
need?
light up sort.
Oh, you
No,
trying to
they
get a light
didn't.
up.
We've had it, we've continued it, we've just paid for it. It hasn't been included in the package.
In this package, okay.
Correct.
just wanted
So
to,
would it be included?
So there's
Oh,
no
no.
light
it's gonna
show?
be an additional cost.
No? How much is it?
Yeah, a new RFP, when we put out a new RFP, we will include it in the
No,
RFP.
I'm saying, how much is it, just general?
It depends anywhere from 4,000 to 7,000.
For a light up? What is light up?
But when we
For
light the
the
tree, there was
fireworks.
always the fireworks that goes with it.
A pyrotechnic
At
show
the end?
Yeah.
during the Christmas.
Really?
Christmas.
Oh, the Christmas, I thought it
Yeah,
was the 4th of
right.
July.
Yeah.
No, but it used to
This
be
is-
included. Both were used to be included.
Oh,
We used
for
to get a
4th of
package
July
deal.
in
We used to
for-
get a package deal, correct?
I see. Okay,
So I
we
wanted
get
to know if it was
Okay,
the
that's
same
not
package deal. Yeah,
Thank you.
1048.
yeah. Maybe we could do one of those, did you see those light shows that they do one year? Maybe for the 100th
Oh,
anniversary.
nice. Well, thank you so much. Next item, we
The
are.
drone show.
going-
Tab
Oh,
G.
it's actually the quasi.
No, tab G.
Tab G.
Tab G. Oh,
It's a
wow.
resolution.
We're not going as fast as I would. Tab G.
Tab G, a proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager and city attorney to execute a memorandum of understanding between the city of North Miami and Love Football, Inc. for the installation of the Love Football pitch and enhancement of services at Cagney Park South, providing for an effective date and all other purposes.
Thank you. Public hearing is now open on tab G. Public hearing is open. I don't see none coming.
Move for approval?
Public
Second.
hearing is closed. Yeah, they trying to beat up the time, but we do have somebody coming. Public hearing is open. Are you coming, ma'am, to speak on this item?
Yeah.
Sure.
Not on this item, but.
Okay, no problem. You could wait, sit right there for the next one. We'll be,
Okay, not-
give us 1 second.
Okay.
Citizen forum or this, no, you can sit right there.
We're talking about the Cagney Park
Yeah,
soccer
yeah.
pitch right now.
1 second, we'll be with you. So, Madam Clerk, we good?
Yes, are we opening for discussion? Go ahead
No,
with
it's
the motion.
closed. We
Okay.
got a move in a second.
So I have a motion made by Councilwoman Timothy, seconded by Councilman Charles. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Tab G passes 5-0.
9:15. 9:15.
Tab H, a proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager and city attorney to negotiate and execute an amendment to the agreement between the city of North Miami and Calvin Giordano and Associates, Inc., to include additional services for the update of the land development regulations as required for the implementation of the comprehensive plan amendments at an additional cost not to exceed $139,800, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab H.
Any presentation, Mr. Estrada?
Well,
Brief?
Sure.
presentation?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, Alberto Estrada, Purchasing Director. So the item before you is simply a request for your approval of an amendment to the existing agreement the city has with the consulting firm Calvin Giordano and Associates, and it's to provide us for additional services related to the city's future City 2045 comprehensive plan. This amendment will be a not-to-exceed fee of $139,800. The city previously entered into an agreement with Calvin Giordano to assist staff in carrying out the statutory required review and update of the city's comp plan. So as part of this process, the city's land development regulations must also be updated to align with the proposed comp plan amendments. So the approval of these additional services is necessary in order to update the LDRs, implement the comp plan on a timely basis for submittal to the state of Florida. Here with me in support of this item is Mr. Derek Cook, the director of our Community Planning and Development Office, and also Mr. Alex David. He's in the audience, representing Calvin Giordano, and if you have any questions, we'll be glad to take them.
I have questions too.
Right.
Think that we want to close the public hearing is now open on the item. Okay, and public hearing is now closed. We have a couple of questions on the dais. Vice Mayor?
Yes, so the only question that I have is this amount that we're asking us to approve, does that include any and all revisions that would come back, that could potentially come back from the state? Because when we were presented the first time, I thought that it already included all of this. So if there's a revision or something else that has to happen, will there be a new contract, or will this include all and everything that we have to do to be compliant for the comprehensive plan.
I have here Mr. Alex David from Calvin Giordano, and Alex, if you could address the councilwoman.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. I'm Alex David with Calvin Giordano and Associates. This is actually the second part, the land development regulations, as was stated. The comprehensive plan is almost done. This amount does not include any work on that because that's already part of the previous amount of money.
Right.
So we had a few comments from the state and other agencies. Those are being revised in the document. So because you have a break, I believe, in August, so probably in September, I mean, notwithstanding budget meetings, we propose to bring back the comprehensive plan part for your adoption.
Right, and so once we adopt it, if submitted, if there are any other revision, will this amount cover that, any other revisions that could happen?
The previous amount, the previous under the comp plan part,
No, I got it.
this is specific to the land development regulations.
Okay.
So anything that we need to update in your LDRs, and I know the NRO, we took that out, Northwest 7th Avenue, we need also to have regulations, and there are other things that were recommended as part of the comp plan will be part of the new contract.
Okay.
So you've paid for everything we're doing
Yes.
on the comp plan. That's all taken care of.
Under their existing agreement.
Under the
Remember,
existing.
we have an existing agreement
Qua-
with the company.
I have a question, and that was my understanding, but thank you for clarifying that. So the comp plan that we have, the LDR that did not include, that's a separate scope.
Correct.
Okay, because I'm thinking, just like Vice Mayor, that the comprehensive plan that we talking about, the LDR and all of these different changes that we're talking about was part of it, so this would have been an amendment to the
Right, the way it
comp
was
plan, but
set up as an amendment to the original.
I got you, but it's separate scope,
Separate,
separate
yep.
different things, LDR and then the comp plan,
Yep.
but somehow they
We're
merge, they together.
coming to, yes.
Okay, any questions? Okay, we good to go,
Move
thank
for
you.
approval?
Second,
I have a motion made by Vice Mayor Estimate Irving to move the item, tab H, and seconded by Mayor Kazume. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Tab H passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
thank you, sir. Question,
Yes.
the price that they charge, that's the norm in the industry, Mr. Estrada?
Well,
based on
it's based on the level of effort. In other words, the period of time it's going to take, and it's based on hourly rates, their professional rates that they charge, the same rates that were under the original agreement or the existing agreement. It's just now
Okay.
there's additional time
Got it.
and effort to be expended for the LDRs.
Into this one, thank you, sir, thank you. Next item?
Tab I, a proposed resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, approving the updated Building and Zoning Department permit fee schedule attached as Exhibit 1 pursuant to Chapter 5, Building Standards and Regulations, Article 5, Fees and Penalties, and Section 5-34, Building Permits Fees, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab I.
Thank you. Public hearing is now open for tab I.
I'm ready to move for approval.
I know. Public hearing is closed. Thank
Move for
you.
approval?
Excuse me, I have a few questions about tab I.
Sure. Go ahead.
And I need, now, tab I, and I look at it, back on September 28, 2022, council voted 4-1 for the same resolution, which is 2022 R145. Now, to staff, what is wrong with this resolution that we bring it back in here? And I have some questions about the language in it.
Good evening, Mayor, and, Honorable Mayor and Council. Mayor Jean, Building Department Director. Regarding this resolution before you, languages were updated for consistency and relevancy. This resolution before you introduces a tiered base permit fee. With the tiered base permit fee, it allows for economy of scale. As you can see with the City of North Miami, we have come upon large projects in the pipe work. Some of these projects with increase in construction costs ranges from $80 million to over 100 million. So the introduction of the tiered base permit fee allows for relevant pricing of the permit.
Looking at it, I see that all the language that was in the previous resolution just being crossed out. But the way I look at it is like everything that has to do with the developers, realtors, and they've been just crossed out in a kind of watered down. Let's say, for example, if you go with me to page 12, where it said fee, overtime fees said, in the previous resolution, said overtime fees will apply $360 up to 4 hours and an additional of $90 per hour. But now that was being crossed out, and also the language that has the developers, attorneys, realtors being crossed out only left out the public. And then it just watered down to $90 per hour minimum. So can I get some clarity on that?
That adjustment, basically we went through the entire our fee schedule to further refine it for to make it much more current, and also for the pricing that is for the applicant. So it's basically a complete refinement of our permit fee schedule.
If I look at it, if I may, the way I see it, unless you can tell me otherwise, I see it is something that is basically just taking care of the developers or anybody like that, but not the city. On the city side, I think looking at it, we are losing based on the numbers.
Councilman, let me step in.
Yeah, no.
Okay, two things, because I'm sorry, we were looking for the page you were referencing,
Mhm.
so
Page-
it took us
yeah,
a minute
12.
to find it.
Yeah.
It's 8 out
But
of
the
24,
issue we
yeah.
have is that there is a state statute that says that we cannot charge more to permit fees to anyone, and if we don't use it, right? And the way the setup was before, we will be collecting more permit fees on the larger project, developers' projects. Now, when that happens, we will have to refund them that money, because the law says we're not supposed to keep it for longer than a certain period of time, and it all goes into the enterprise fund. None of it comes to the general fund.
What's
The special
timeframe?
fund for the building
No,
department.
no. We can't keep, how long can we keep the funds for before we return it?
4 years.
4 consecutive
For
years.
years.
4 consecutive years.
Let's,
4 consecutive years.
oh, if I may, let's travel with me to page 6 of 14. 6 of 14, where it said certificate of occupancy. So we just cross all those out. Certificate of completion, we just cross all those out. So there is no fee for those. Is that the language? 6 of 14.
Yes, that's.
6 of 14. Because
Horizontal.
to me, it's like everything that we have that has to do with fee, they've been just basically crossed out. But now,
They're addressed in the front, I think.
If-
Go ahead.
If I may add, Councilman Charles, some of the sections were shuffled around to better further categorize them correctly in the fee groups. So you have base permit fees in one section, re-inspection fees, and I think what you're referring to is towards the back. So we kind of shuffled it to better organize our fee schedule.
So
For that, can I ask staff that they go back and clean up the language so that it just reflect what we're doing, so that we understand exactly
Maybe
what
in
we
a
have in
side
here?
by side comparison?
That's
Yeah,
what
so
we-
that we,
That's
no,
what we have.
I'm using both of them. So what, the way it is in here is like way too messy, and I don't,
No, that's what they have.
No,
Can-
wait, are you talking about the strikes out? And
no,
underline?
it's not about the stripe out, yeah, but now, when, it's like, basically the way I see it, is like, on the city side, we don't have much leverage in here with the no resolution.
So
Mr.
let me
Attorney.
answer one of your questions, Councilman. Where they struck up for the certificates of occupancy, it is under other fees on page 8 of 14, and it's classified there. And actually now, for single family, they have single family and duplex and triplex. They didn't have that before. So if you look at what they did, is they just cleaned it up. One of the requirements we have with the state is that our fees and our guidelines need to be clear and concise to avoid any complications, any complaints, and we need to have it on the website. So what we did for actually, we wanted you to see the changes that we made. That's why we showed it with the strike through, so you can see what we've changed. But if you go further down, you will see that everything that you brought up, they're all listed under, from page 8 down, and you can see the line items are there. Reinspection and so, because of the order that required to clean it up.
Occupancy. See, it's got-
Are we going to be required to give any refunds as it relates to changing this?
No, well, when this happened in 2022, it delayed a lot of large permit applications, right? We already did the analysis. Those that have already submitted their permits, they actually still fall within the tier that we have. It's the larger projects that haven't pulled their permits yet all this time, like UM Health and so on, because of that.
So what I'm saying is, so have we issued any permits and charged residents or developers the old pricing? And are we going to be required now to refund some of those folks?
We have with the plan for the residential ones, and the smaller mid-sized developments are not affected. It's the largest one.
It's the largest, okay.
And they haven't pulled anything yet because of that. And that's why the Building Association of South Florida approached us with representing all of the developers to bring this to our attention.
Okay.
Madam Vice Mayor. Sorry, question to you, through you to staff. It's often suggested to me, I don't know if this is the right place, I'm just bringing it up so you can tell me it's not the right place, but in places like Keystone, where there's a lot of residential construction going on, I get a lot of complaints about damage to streets, debris on streets, and things like that, because there's only a couple of bridges in and out, and there can be 10, 15 homes being totally redone at any one time. Do we have a way to charge those developers some sort of fee to clean and restore, for lack of a better term? In other words, make it whole once they've dumped concrete down the side of the road? I mean, yeah, we can send our public works people out there to address it, but is there a method?
Well, in the past, we did look at a bond that that could be issued, but the problem is, like, for example, the bridge, I believe, at Keystone. If, let's say, a concrete truck goes over it and it dumps concrete on the bridge, first of all, pinpointing that the concrete truck, which we have done, and also whether who pays the bond, the contractor or the homeowner. So we did look into that, but it wasn't determined yet how to properly go about a bond.
So you're still looking into that as an avenue?
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, I personally, I don't think it should be the homeowner. I think it should be the company. It's their cost of doing business. And does it matter which one of them made the dump, so to speak? Sorry. Does it matter which one of them is guilty? I think they should all pay into a pot, if you will. And then if we need to send our public works folks out there to do some work to clean up or whatever, it's not our time and our taxpayer money. Do you follow what I'm saying? That has to cover all of those costs.
You're indicating like a special type of fund, but this would be probably citywide. That, let's say, all issued construction would pay some portion into that fund, which if there's any debris on the roads or any damage to the roadway, it would be pulled from that that fund?
Yeah, I
Councilman?
mean, that's just what I'm thinking in general, because again, I come back to Keystone because there's a lot of residential construction back there. They're tearing down 1950s, 1970s homes. They're building these McMansions, and they have little narrow, short streets in a lot of Keystone. I use that as an example because where I get all my complaints for on it. But you can have more than one house under construction on one street at any given time, and, you know, the trucks are parked halfway out in the street, and people have to weave around them to get to their homes, and then they divot up the street. Just something so that we're not having, our tax dollars are already stretched thin enough. The tax revenue we receive from the residents already is thin enough. If there's a way to create a mechanism where those developers, who are the ones, not developers, those construction work crews that are causing the damage are paying into a fund to, you know, fix that damage. That's just, that's the idea that I'm throwing out there.
We'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
any other?
No,
One sec. Any
fine,
other
I'll just,
question?
my last remark, I am not comfortable with tab I as presented, and I'll definitely vote no on it.
Any other questions up here?
On the note, on the same token where Councilman Galvin was, on that same token, is there communication that's required from people as they're building? Because oftentimes I hear from residents that they didn't know that there was construction going on next door and so forth, and certain, you know.
We have used the Everbridge, so with the
Okay.
larger projects, and also it's printed on their permit card to allow, at least let us know for somewhere between a week or 2 weeks of early construction time. Some, for example, some projects near to the city, once they give us that early start notification, we look to make sure it's not falling on a holiday or the weekend.
But for residential projects, not the larger scale.
No,
No.
more for larger projects.
Thank you.
Any other questions for?
Yeah, I just want to make sure. So just so that I go on record again, the building association came to us and this is why we adjusted one of the reasons why we adjusted it. And can you just summarize again
Yeah.
why we did the adjustment and why we're changing the fees? And just to make sure that I understand what my colleague is asking for, I think what he's trying to say is there's more consideration. It's like the fees have lessened for the developers versus just, that's what it appears to be. So I just want to get an explanation on that.
Okay.
For example, I think there was a price that he mentioned that was crossed out that was $360, and it was now $90. Like, why the?
So first of all, Vice Mayor,
Sure.
to answer one of the questions, Anisha Daniels, Assistant City Manager to the Manager, one of the questions I want to go back and answer on page 12 of 14, where we struck developers, attorneys, and realtors, because that language was just specifically stating those particular individuals. So we said the public, so it's now general, so it can charge anyone, be it if they're an attorney or not. So we wanted to make sure that the language was general in those regards and for clarity purposes. So we took another look at several other resolutions through other cities, their fees, and we wanted to make sure that we took make it a lot clearer for ease of read. Take some of the technical terms out of there, so it was a more in layman's terms for our residents or anyone that was picking it up, and then they can understand those meanings. Also, with some of the fees, we went back and took a look at some of the fees, and we realized with some of the fees that we weren't as comparable to some of the cities. I know we had looked at this before, but we had looked at some of the major ones, and we found that there were a few that we still needed to clean up. And so this was an opportunity for us to do another cleanup of the fees with the language reshuffling for clarity. If things fell in another section, we moved it to another section that was actually consistent where it should be. Things in the prior one, it was just not ordered appropriately. And so based on the current way, what we need to do, we have to strike it, so then we can actually include it in ordinance again, in the resolution again, which means that it's going to have a strike, and then we're going to have to add it again, and so you'll see it on another page, and then we just struck some of the language. Some of the language, the way it read, it was 5, 6, 10 sentences long, and you had to read it 10 times to understand exactly what it meant. So that's some of the things that we just wanted to make sure that was clear, concise, and succinct with what the residents needed to purchase or to understand that different application or that fee.
To that point, and I do believe that we didn't need to strike out developers, attorneys, realtors, and everything, so we could just basically add probably resident to it. Because I just want to make sure that we hold everybody accountable in here, because we have to look at the interests of the city. Because I know with language how it's going, you can play around with the language and everything that we have in here. So all those things. That's one of the reasons why I said I am not in line with what we have now as it stands for tab I, and I'll stay as that.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think I move for approval.
Okay. So, second that, are we voting, Steph?
Yes, I have a motion on the floor by Vice Mayor Estimate Irving and seconded by Mayor DeZume. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Item passes 4-1.
The next item?
Next item. Next item is tab J. It's a proposed ordinance. Do we have anyone that will be speaking on this item?
There's a
Oh,
card.
it's an ordinance.
Do they have a card?
No worries.
Okay.
No,
This is
it's
first
an
reading.
ordinance.
Yeah, I
Never
know,
mind.
she's asking for the card.
I'm jumping ahead of myself, okay.
Tab
Tab
J.
J, a proposed first reading ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, amending Chapter 5 of the Code of Ordinance entitled Building Standards and Regulations at Article 6 entitled 40-Year Building Recertification, specifically at Section 5-37 entitled 40-Year Building Recertification to reflect Miami-Dade County's requirements and initiate building recertification inspections starting at a building age of 30 years and every 10 years thereafter, providing for conflict and severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date. Tab J.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Mayor Jean, Building Director. The proposed ordinance before you is just to further mirror, basically to mirror what the county has done just to be in line with the county, Miami-Dade County. Because in May 2022, after Surfside, state law changed, which further lessened the recertification period for buildings, especially condos and other types of buildings. So this is just to mirror the Miami-Dade County for 30-year recertification.
Okay, thank you, sir. The item tab J is open to the public. The item is open to the public. Seeing none coming, it's up here. Kali?
So
for
move.
approval.
Question,
Second.
sorry.
Yes, it's, yes.
I'm sorry.
Go.
So which department will be in charge of doing the 30 and the 10-year recertification?
It would still be under the building department.
Building department. And I know, well, now that it is increasing the workload, does that mean now that you guys are going to have more building inspectors going out inspecting these buildings and doing these certifications?
Well, Councilwoman Timothy, the recertification is a report that's submitted and is due now, if this ordinance passed, would be due at the 30-year date of the building, 30-year birth date of the building. So the reports is submitted at a specific time for review, and if they meet all the requirements or the both for building and electrical systems, then we would recertify the building, and that would be due. That would give them another 10 years to go through the recertification again.
So right now, are you guys going to have to do a comprehensive review of all the buildings?
Yeah.
And if you remember, Councilwoman Timothy, last year after the Champagne Towers fell, we did a full thorough review, and we provided a report weekly of where we were.
And
so
many of
to
them didn't
answer-
have their 40 years of certification.
That is correct. And to answer your question, the first year, it will increase our workload because there are several that would not have been due because they would have been due 40 years. So you'll have those that would have been 40 plus those that were 30. So it will increase our workload the first year.
To follow up with Councilwoman Timothy's question, would we be able to, or would the department have the ability to have enough staff, or are we looking at perhaps bringing in a temp, just to get up,
Bring it up
to speed, and then we could, give it up to them?
We've been looking at part-time
Okay.
inspectors to make sure that
Different
we're
things.
ramped up to facilitate this and to make sure that we're on target with those 30-year inspections.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you so much.
So we have a motion on the floor made by Councilman Charles and seconded by Vice Mayor Estimate Irvin.
Correct.
May I take a roll call? Councilman Galvin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Estimate Irving,
Yes.
Mayor Desolme,
Yes.
Councilman Charles,
Yes.
Councilwoman Timothy.
Yes.
Item passes and carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Tab K, a proposed ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager to make adjustments to the minimum fund allocation amount in the reserve fund account as part of the city's fiscal year's budget, process pursuant to Section 2-2 of the City Code, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab K.
Presentation? Quickly. Oh, no? Okay, good. Public hearing is now open on tab K. Public hearing is now closed. This is so good. I want to say, hey, Miss Vivian. How you doing?
So far, so good. Can't complain.
Oh,
Good
good.
evening.
Good. Well, I'm actually happy we to see this item, and I don't know if we need a little explanation, but it's in a good direction. I think we should be moving as a city, and we know we're not. That's where we would like to go. Hopefully, and I with talking to you and folks, that's the goal to have as other cities, healthy city. This is us getting back to be healthy. So, and professionally, you feel like we could do this. So it feels good,
Although we're still working with the numbers, Vivian Cao, Budget Director, we're still working with the numbers. We will be getting a final property appraiser tax estimate roll by July 1st. I don't envision that we'll be able to put in the full $5 million that is the requirement, but we are working towards putting in at least half of that or a little bit more if it's possible.
Amen.
So we're waiting for the first tax roll to come in on July 1st to finalize it.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes, go ahead.
And also to remind you that on July 11th, we'll be coming back over here to review the millage and set the ceiling for the millage rate.
Yes.
And on the 12th, we have the workshop.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, I remember at our council retreat, that was one of the points that we worked upon, and I do believe it is a great start. And thank you. And we need to put in the work and make sure that we have that healthy city back again, and work toward our fiscal budget and put the money where it's supposed to be. And that's good for the city, and I like it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the city, the residents, and everything. I think as public officials, when we, part of us being elected is, we do the work that we do, but we also, one goal that we learned is you got to build a reserve, and we haven't. We had that. Well, Scott, he's been the senior. He's our senior person.
I remember.
So we kind of figure out, but we do know, and it's been some challenge time, and we, the past 8 years, Scott, we've done what we do as a family together. It's been hard, and so it's kind of feel a little bit good to be we're not there yet, and we don't know if it's gonna be, if we able to do it, but at least to be moving to that direction. And I think the residents, they understand that, you know, because, you know, they see that we're trying to make the effort. So, you know, not only doing the right things, giving the services, but we are also keeping up for the future, because we talk about a city hall having all these different things. So we are kind of sure, I think, with this legislation that we are being, we listen, but we are being responsible, fiscally responsible. So thank you, Ms.
Mr. Mayor, if I
Powell.
may,
Yes, ma'am.
so, through the manager, Ms. Cowell, essentially what you're asking, what are you asking us to do here? Because I know
I'm
normally this
asking
comes
you,
before.
so there
during the
is
budget.
ordinance that require us to have a $5 million reserve annually.
Mhm.
Historically, we
We've
have
waived
come
it.
to you on the first budget hearing, asking you to waive it. So in reality, we're coming to you with an unbalanced budget. So getting ahead of the times, we are planning on doing town hall meetings in August to communicate to the community. I expect you all to come in on July 11th and then on the 12th to go over the workshop, the budget workshop. This is to be able to have already a balanced budget as soon as we're able to. We can discuss the millage, and we know that we do have a balanced budget. We are projecting, the initial assessment is about $2.5 million to put into the reserve, which is the first step towards us starting to establish a financial, not freedom, but a financial future, right, for the city. So let's just start establishing, and every year make sure that we're putting a little bit more and that we're trying to keep it.
It'll be up to you guys to continue.
And we're still reporting, you know, some of it, like, we still have some of the ARPA money left over.
Yes.
Is that the money that we're looking to put in?
No.
No? Okay.
ARPA money will be used towards operations and capital projects.
Oh, for the next fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I think is the item, did we open public hearing? We did. It's closed. We did?
No.
I think we did.
No.
It's open. Public hearing is open on the item. I got so excited. Now public hearing is closed.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor made by Councilman Charles, seconded by Mayor Desolme to approve the item. May I take a roll call vote? Councilman Charles,
Yes.
Mayor Desolme,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irving, Estimate Irving,
Yes.
Councilman Galvin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Timothy.
Yes.
Item passes 5-0.
Yay.
Tab K,
Oh, y'all were wrong.
I know.
quasi judicial.
You better not say, yeah, if we get a hurricane, we'll be saying boo. If we get a hurricane, we'll be saying boo.
The next item is the
No, it's when you
quasi-judicial
think
item.
you're about done.
I know, right?
And Citizens Forum opens and everybody's like, you know, we got plenty of time and we're here.
No, Irma.
Go ahead.
Tab L, quasi-judicial item. Please be advised that the following item on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to speak in favor or object to or comment on an item, please complete a public speaker's card indicating the agenda item number on which you would like to comment. You must be sworn before addressing the city council, and you may be subject to cross-examination. If you refuse to submit to cross-examination, the city council will not consider your comments in its final deliberation. Please also disclose any ex parte communications you may have had with any members of the city council. City council members must do the same. At this time, I can swear you in, whoever will be speaking on this item. If you could please stand.
What's the item? Where are we? Which item is this?
We have 3 so far that has signed in, so, yeah, and, okay, perfect.
Why should you have to speak?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. That's tab L. Yes.
1 second, Ms. Thomas. Ma'am, I understand you wanted to speak during public forum towards the end. Yes.
Citizen Forum.
Right? Okay, perfect. No, we just wanted to know, we'll be with you right after. Thank you. Go ahead. I don't want her to think we ignore her. Go ahead, sir.
Tab L, a proposed quasi-judicial resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the site plan for a non-residential development consisting of 2 one-story commercial building intended for restaurant uses, totaling 10,830 square feet of gross floor area, an existing 4-story, 30,903 square foot office building, and 114 surface parking spaces on 2 parcels of real property, approximately 1.75 acres in size, located at 1111 and 1125 Northeast 125th Street, and identified with Miami-Dade folio numbers 06-2229-034-0095 and 06-2229-034-0090, in accordance with Article 2, Division 7, Section 2-701, and Article 3, Division 2, Section 3-204, through Section 3-206, and Article 3, Division 3, Section 3-302 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab L.
Good evening. Derek Cook with the Community Planning and Development Department. Through the City Manager, Honorable Mayor, and City Council, as stated by the Honorable Deputy Clerk, the item before you is a request for a site plan approval for properties located at 1111 and 1125 Northeast 125th Street with a size of approximately 1.75 acres, and it is zoned C3, designated commercial, office, in the future land use map. The property is in the North Miami in the Neighborhood Redevelopment Overlay District, the Planned Corridor Development Overlay District, and the North Miami Transit Station Overlay District, which allows up to 150 dwelling units per acre and a 200-foot height. The project is 2 one-story commercial buildings intended for restaurant uses, totaling approximately 10,830 square feet of gross floor area, and an existing 4-story office building of 30,903 square feet. 113 parking spaces will be provided at the space, and it will be a LEED or national equivalent green building for the new restaurant space, and 100% Florida native landscaping will be provided. It also will have a bioswale and rain gardens and a green wall. Stormwater retention will be used as the public amenity, and all the stormwater will be maintained on the property.
Mr. Cook, I'm sorry. The PowerPoint that we have up here says 114 surface parking. Yours says 113.
Yes, that's per my count.
Okay, so it's incorrect in the.
Yes, it was shown 114 on the plan. When I manually counted it, it was 113.
Okay.
So with that in mind, it's been conversation and interest about will this property have the proper amount of parking for its uses. So there was some confusing data in our report based on how they came to the parking conclusion that they will have enough parking. The conclusion was correct. The methodology that was utilized to get to it was a little off from what the LDRs is, in that they was using 2 sources. One was shared parking along with the parking reduction that is required. You only can use one or the other. In this instance, the applicant is using shared parking as their mechanism to satisfy the parking requirement for the site. With that,
Can I?
Shared parking.
How do you do that? I mean, explain that to me.
If you can explain how you got to this shared
No,
parking.
the word shared parking, I mean, what does that mean to the average person who's not a developer?
shared parking is, in its definition, means you have more than one use being utilizing the parking at the site.
At that space.
At that space. So that allows for shared parking. In this instance, such as you have specific to this, you have a mixed-use building. In a mixed-use building, you could have residential, you could have office, you could have commercial
I got
uses.
you.
And then you say, oh, well, we're gonna use shared parking,
I
because
see.
all those uses is not gonna be utilized in the parking at the same degree.
To use the number.
Yes.
I
And
see.
so on let's just take the commercial building. The commercial building requires 113 spaces, correct?
The commercial building is a standalone building, which is an existing building. It has its parking. Its parking is based on what it is. It really is, per our definition of gross floor, it is all of the area that does not include the stairs and include the elevator shafts and stuff like. And for this building, the actual office space area is only 19,000 plus square feet. If you do that based on the requirement per our code for parking, which is one place for every 300 square feet, they actually only need 64 parking spaces for this building. They have 72.
How did you get to that? Because
So it's just a calculation based on, you have your parking area, you have the building, and then you say, what is the volume of the building that is occupied by stairwells and occupied by the elevator shafts areas. And you subtract that in any other areas that they show that is not a part of the actual office use.
Okay.
So we're talking about the restaurant, not the office
We're
building.
talking about the office building. Your question is, do they have enough parking for the office building?
No, I'm sorry, for the restaurant.
So for the restaurant, what you have is you did a calculation, we did a calculation for everything. That means the restaurant use and even the trash areas that they indicate, which is one for 550 square feet and another one for 540 square feet. The total area is 11,000 plus square feet. That is 76 parking spaces that is required for the restaurant.
And so on the restaurant, how much parking, like in the area for the restaurant, how much parking are they proposing?
41 parking spaces.
So now they're gonna use the
shared parking
from the office
from the
building next
office.
door. And
Yes.
how are they allowed to do that?
So in the chart that I have right here, it goes by how you calculate parking per time of day. So the first time of the day you have from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. That is what we consider to be the peak hour. During that hour of operation, you would need a minimum of 50% for the restaurant use and 100% for the office use.
And that number is?
So if you do the office use, that is what they need is 64 parking spaces. They have 72. The restaurant, which needs 76, half of 76 is 38. They have 41 in that area alone, and so they meet that requirement. And that is our peak hour. After that, from 6 to 12 a.m., you need only 10% for the office, 100% for the restaurant. The restaurant has those 41 parking spaces, plus all that parking over there in the office area. So you have more than enough parking to subsidize what the restaurant needs.
So the shared parking number is the restaurant and the commercial building
Yes.
that's next door?
The name shared don't, that's the part.
Because we know parking is,
Yeah.
is always an
Something
issue.
about shared ride, but I see.
So with that in mind, so if you do what based on the peak hour, which is from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., you would need that 64 plus 38, and that gives you 102 parking spaces that you would need. The applicant is providing 113 parking spaces on the sites. So that exceeds what is needed at the peak hour.
Now, would that be account for, let's say, Mother's Day, when the heat is on, when we have a playoff and Dolphin is doing good?
So Mother Days happens on the weekend, and our shared parking methodology takes in consideration weekends. On the weekend, the office is only anticipated to have 5% of that parking area needed. So all that parking area is still be devoted for that restaurant use on the weekend, coupled with the 41. So you have more than 100 parking spaces available for that restaurant area for a Mother's Day event or for on weekends.
Just for the record, I met with the applicant, so I just wanna make sure that,
we all
yeah.
have to disclose them.
Yeah, I met with the applicant, and then I received a few emails from residents. One of the biggest one is parking. And that's the reason why we're trying to see exactly how is that gonna work and how is that gonna affect our residents. So that share parking term, not too solid on that, and we need to see if we can find a better way to see if we can accommodate, because we're gonna have like about 5 or 6 restaurants altogether, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Thank you. I'm sorry, were you done with your presentation, Mr. Cook?
I was just done with the parking analysis. If y'all have any more questions on that, and I can continue, or I can move on with the rest of the presentation.
Well, just the last question on parking, is there any on-street parking that's planned for that area?
It is. The
Okay.
applicant does plan to have on-street parking on Northeast 126.
And is that taken into account in the number?
It is not.
Okay, do you know how many parking spaces for 126?
I do not, I'm not sure. The applicant can speak to that specific number because we don't do that as part of the calculation
no
of the
problem.
parking.
Mhm.
So, the DRC approved the item on May the 2nd of this year with a few conditions. To install 10-foot wide sidewalks on Northeast 125th Street frontage and 6-foot wide sidewalks on Northeast 126th Street. Provide proof of LEED or equivalent certification prior to the certificate of occupancy. All utilities must be installed underground, and then obtain a certificate of use and a business tax receipt prior to opening of the business. Unify the parcels and apply for a building permit prior to 12/13 of 2024.
What do you mean by unify the parcel? Like bring them together?
Yes,
The commercial and the restaurant?
Yes.
And how is the applicant proposing to do that?
that's through a unity of title or a covenant in lieu. They could do it,
Okay.
which is through our department.
Oh, that concludes your presentation?
Yes.
Oh.
Thank you so much, Derek. Do we have? I didn't get any card. Did you? You didn't give me? Yeah. Well, yeah. I will have to get them. Thank you. Okay, we have a couple of folks before we open up, and these are in the orders of which I've received them. I'm sorry.
I think you should just
Call.
Yeah, I think you should just call everyone, because from what I saw,
Okay.
I think they were all applicants.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's for no.
So they may not be,
residents.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
there's
I
at
think
least
you
3
should-
residents.
There's
I saw
four.
stand
Just
up.
call them out.
Yeah, that's for residents. Not the applicants don't have nothing here. I'm sorry if I pronounce said Said Nicholas Davy, and no, there's 2 mics. Deborah Davy as well. Hey, Deborah. And lastly, Andrew.
Russell?
Okay. Scott, teacher. Russell. Mr. Russell. Andrew Russell. That's like me. You're after Deborah. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Davis.
So, thank you for listening to me. Nicholas Davies, 1165 Northeast 127th Street. It would be nice to have some new restaurants in our neighborhood, but these plans do not include enough parking for the existing office buildings and the 5 new restaurants. We have just heard that while the square footage of the restaurants would normally require 76 parking spaces, through this shared parking table methodology, they are claiming that they only need to provide 38 based on the idea that the restaurants will only need half as much parking during the day. But of course, we don't know yet what these restaurants are going to be. And so if it ends up that we have 5 restaurants who all want to open during the day, they will be 38 spaces short from what the code would normally require. And so where are all those extra customers and even their employees going to park? We've heard about street parking, but ultimately it means that the customers wanting to eat at the restaurants are going to be left driving around our neighborhood looking for somewhere to park, or they're simply just going to go and eat somewhere else. Smart restaurant owners looking at this situation will simply not come to these facilities because they will see that there is not enough parking for their employees and their customers. We already have a huge apartment building with not enough parking, and now this is just going to make things worse for our community. So please do not approve this plan as it is currently submitted. Thank you.
Hi, Deborah Davies, 1165 Northeast 127th Street. I think this project could be a really good addition to our neighborhood. We could use some more restaurants. But I want to bring some serious problems to your attention. As you've heard, the shared parking table that was just changed claims that the restaurants will only need 38 parking spaces during the day and 76 after 6 p.m., and that includes, all the employees. What that means is the employees and customers will be left driving up and down our residential streets looking for parking. It would be great if some can walk or bike there, but this situation can be dangerous for them too, as people in cars compete for limited parking spaces driving up and down our small blocks with children walking to school right down the street and playing. My husband and I recently went to a movie in Hollywood, and there was a city parking garage a block from the theater with parking for $1 per hour. We called the business, and they were able to direct us to this easy and cheap parking. If the city does not hold the developers accountable for enough parking, then the city must take responsibility to provide it. Also, this project is called The Gardens, but the plans include cutting down and removing most of the trees and shrubs now on the property, including full-grown trees, and relocating only 2 of them as per the tree disposition plan on page 214 of the packet. As the developer is the developer required to plant new trees in the neighborhood to compensate for this? We all know that the climate crisis is real, and cutting down trees adds to the heat and flooding in our neighborhood. Please try to understand how this project has reduced on-site parking to an unacceptable level with these, they changed the, with only 38 parking spaces for 5 restaurants in the day. Please vote no on this project in its present form. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Davy. Syed and Andrew, please. Gentlemen, please hurry. We have 2 mics. We got 2 minutes. I'm sorry? I'm sorry, sir?
The light is on?
Yes, it's on. We're trying to turn it off.
Anyway, good evening, everybody.
Go ahead.
Speak into the mic.
To the mic,
Okay.
sir. Stephanie. I'm
Good
sorry.
evening,
I'm sorry,
everybody.
Ms. Thomas. Go ahead.
Now talking about the parking.
Your name,
I'm
Name
very
and address.
confused, but
Your
you
name and
might
address,
have some
please.
great progress.
No,
on the
name,
park.
name and address. Your name and address.
My name is Said Darush at 1105 Northeast 127th Street in North Miami. And I don't live too far from that parking that is going to be built. It might be great, it might be good. The only thing we have to see how the future and the progress can be done, or it can be some modification can be created on the way that will happen. But I do believe the first year, the traffic in the restaurant, every business, it takes some process to grow. So that had to be observed. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, Andrew Russell, 1090 Northeast 132nd Street. I just want to comment about the shared parking. It doesn't seem quite defined. It seemed like there's some confusion here. Also, well, I lived on South Beach for 10 years, so I know a little bit about parking.
You know a lot.
Yeah. I don't know if there's going to be the offices, for instance, would they, it's going to be, sounds like the same hours of operation. So it's not daytime office and nighttime restaurant. It sounds like it's the same time, I believe. And so it starts as shared, and then the office would complain, and then they're going to start to get reserved parking. So then that's going to possibly limit even that much of the shared parking. I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. The applicant, any presentation, rebuttal? And just full disclosure, just so we don't forget, I did meet with the applicant sometime last week.
Yeah, I'd also like to disclose ex parte communication about 2 weeks ago with the applicant.
I also spoke with the applicant about a week ago.
And I also spoke with the applicant and the residents about this issue.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for your service. While we appreciate the comments from all our neighbors, the intent of this project, when we purchased this property, right, we have 1.75 acres. We could have built another 250, 300 units. We wanted to really do a project that finished our vision of the live, work, play. And so while we have the residences that are in the back, and now you're going to have the office building that is there, and you'll have now the restaurants. I think that it's also important to realize that we're providing 500 parking spaces for the people, for the residents that live in the back. Those are the residents that are going to be eating at those restaurants. Those residents are not driving, they're walking across the street. We're providing a tremendous amount of on-street parking additionally. If you guys go by the site today as it is, you know, there's usually 30% of the parking lot that's vacant. Now a little bit less because we're letting some of the construction workers there. But, you know, we really focused on doing a development that we thought would be good for the city, homogeneous with the area. And we are preserving as many of the trees as we can, making that the centerpiece of our project. So while, yes, some trees have to be removed, every substantial tree on that property, we're actually building around it. What we end up having is two buildings that are roughly about 9,600 square feet. And the reason we're doing restaurants is because we met with the city, former mayor, and understanding that restaurants is key to having people stop in our city to dine. We have 43,500 cars that drive by every day, and nobody is stopping here. So we really we focused and we challenged our architect to, on the contrary, work within the existing landscape that is there. And he created two small buildings. We could have built 400,000 square feet. We're adding about 9,600 square feet of net restaurants. And we're very excited about this project. We think it's going to be a very successful project. You know, we are the owner operators. So, you know, you guys know where I am. When there are issues, I pick up the phone and we resolve the issues. And we plan to continue to be there and to grow with the city and to do projects that are in line with the city's vision, utilizing the city's code. And that's exactly what we did. We don't make up this code. This is something that was drafted by the city. We're just utilizing it. I thank you for your time. If you have any questions or anything else, or if you want to hear anything from the architect.
I have a couple.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. I think members of the board have a couple of comments and questions. We'll start with Councilmember Timothy.
Thank you. And while I am a supporter of restaurants, I love restaurants, I do understand the issues that the residents are facing as it relates with the project and the future issues that may arise as it relates to parking. Do you know how much on-street parking are you providing on 126th Street?
Yeah, I think we can pull that up. I think that around the residences was, top of my head, around 27 to, around the residences, which was on Northeast, on 12th, 126, and 11th. I think there's an additional 27 to 29 on-street parking.
Oh.
And an additional 4 behind 1111 and 1125. So that'll be an additional roughly 30 spots.
Another question, are you guys prepared to, I guess, try to remedy or abate the issue, the parking issue that may arise from the residents, whether it's enhancing swells or adding no parking signs, things? I'm thinking about the issues that may arise when people are looking for parking, and they may decide to park on, you know, in front of Ms. Davies' property on 127.
Right, so we've already addressed that with the residents, where, especially in front of Ms. Davis' property, we actually put a hard curb on our property, so no cars could park there. We'll work with the city, you guys know me, and whatever we can to make this a successful win-win for everybody. I also think it's important to realize that there's cars that are parked in the swales there every single day that have nothing to do with us. But there are just other properties, right? There's not a lot of defined sidewalks, and it's a lot of kind of grass and dirt, and so cars are kind of parked everywhere. But we'll work with the city, and this must be a win-win, right? We're investing a lot of time and money into this, and we want to work with the city to make this a successful project for everybody, because it's for both of us.
And have you guys looked at any other mechanism to increase parking, like parking lifts, or to create more parking around the area?
Parking lifts are just not really efficient. You know, we've looked into them, and it requires 2 people to operate them. It's not the, you know, we were advised by our architect that they're just not the best thing to use.
That's it for me for right now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Councilwoman. I have a couple of questions myself. Is Mr. Cook here? Is Derek? This question, Derek, is, well, maybe it could be a Jeff question. Legally, is what presented on the shared parking, which I don't think that's the right name for it because of shared ride. When you think about shared ride, I'm thinking, are they going to share the parking? How do they do that? But I get the concept. You know, and I don't really get the folks that, you know, Sebastian is building. Those are the only folks that will be coming in. I think if the restaurant is great, you know, based on what the conversation with former mayor, folks will stop. And I think as a city, as a business, we would welcome that. But of course, we have the residents. We are concerning about as well. There's some points that was brought up tonight. My question to you, is it legally what you presented sufficient in terms of the legality of what we were here? Is that good enough for this to pass as is?
Mayor, may I answer that question?
Yes, please.
That's why I asked Derek to come up.
Yes.
So what I need to remind the council is that this is first a quasi-judicial item.
Okay.
So, you know, all the things I've talked about in terms of
It's
this is not a
facts.
popularity contest and all that.
Yes.
The second thing I need to point out is this is a site plan review.
Oh.
Typically, this is an administrative process where people come into staff and it doesn't even come to the council. The reason this is coming before you is because the council put a provision in that, I think it's 50,000 square feet?
20,000.
20,000 square, projects of 20,000 square feet or above need to come before you. But it's still a site plan review. This is not a conditional use permit where we get to ask them for different things. So in terms of the shared parking is actually defined in our code in
That's all
section
I wanted to know.
5-1403, which means really all we're supposed to be doing in a site plan review is reviewing the site plan and making sure that it meets our code.
The
And right
required
now,
code.
Based on, there's only one thing in the site plan that we really have any option on, and that's what I asked Derek about, whether they meet this or not. It's under section 5-1403 D. And it says that shared parking shall not result in a reduction of more than 25% of the minimum parking required without shared parking.
Yes.
And according to Derek, it doesn't. And so that's really,
Okay.
they meet the requirements of the code, and unless there's something in the site plan that doesn't, we really don't have that.
Yes, and that was the purpose of my questioning, because a lot of time is, we hear all day as council folks, of folks, you know, giving us problems, saying no, and we're really trying to figure out a way to work with the residents, in a win-win. The developer came and said this wonderful restaurants and whatever the case is, but when we hear these things and we wanted to make our decision based on facts, we can't do certain things if factually he has the right to do what needs to be done. But on a different note, I think one of the people who came here said it, a lot of us been in business, it will take a time to build. And I think I told Sebastian, make sure it's a good restaurant, because the food is not even good. It doesn't matter how many parking spaces you have, nobody coming. So if it is good, you could have 200 space and it won't ever be enough. So, you know, we have to find a way as a community, how do we, you know, do it where it's satisfactory to the residents, to the things. So those are issues we need to look holistically as a community together, but not saying that it's bad, it's this and this and this and that, because we problem solver. How do we solve it? How do we do what we do? And I think we have said what we said. Thank you so much. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I'd like to say
Vice
something.
Mayor, yes.
Well, yeah, just thank you for clarifying that. I just wanted to make sure that, and I was going to ask the same question, you know, did they meet the standard that, are they meeting the requirements? And they are. Well, hopefully this provides a solution. We have freebie coming up soon where people don't have to drive and they can just use the freebie that we have. Those are some of the services that we are using as a city to make it easier on the residents and to limit the parking and the driving your own car. So I hope that poses a solution. I don't want to discourage anyone. Thank you, residents, for always coming and speaking up and on what you are, speaking your mind. But I also want to let you know the same way that we would protect your rights, your personal rights, is the same way that we have to protect. This is the law. They're meeting the requirements. So I definitely would be in favor of that. And I would like to move for approval.
Second.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I just have one more question. Because I know that there was some errors in the staff report, and now the number of parking has changed. That doesn't present an issue, because it was noticed as 114 and is now 113. And I know the calculation and the methodology that they used to get to the number were incorrect, although the numbers were correct. I just want to make sure that that doesn't present a issue.
Well, in terms of the notice, I don't believe in notice in the title.
It said 114 and it's
Okay, so it
113
says
now.
But it's 113?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's.
I know. I'm
that's
just
not- I don't-
putting
I
it
don't
out
believe
there.
that's not significant enough to say that.
No,
there's
but
not-
then in the staff report, I know when I met with Mr. Cook and Anisha Daniels, the way that they calculated was incorrect, but although the number was correct, but.
Yeah, but that's, when you're talking about notice, it's what was noticed, and the only thing that's noticed is the title. So the only information that would have been wrong is that there's 113 versus 114. That's not a significant error.
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas?
I have a motion on the floor made by Vice Mayor Estimé Irving, seconded by Councilman Charles. Roll call vote. Mayor Desolme?
Yes.
Councilman Charles?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Estimé Irving?
Yes.
Councilwoman Timothy?
Yes.
Councilman Galvin?
Yes.
Item passes 5-0. Tab L.
Thank you. And I just wanted you guys to know that we'll remain here to work with the residents, even though we don't always see eye to eye, but to work with you and staff to make this a successful project.
With the residents.
Residents. Thank you.
Good. Scott, you on a roll? I won. No, you said 9. Well, it's not over yet. Here is Citizen Forum. Citizens Forum, ma'am?
Microphone.
Your mic.
Yes. Citizen Forum is now open.
Hello, good night. My name is Jean Roberts, and I live at 488 Northeast 137th Street. And the purpose of my visit here is more so, I hate to use the word frustration, but several years ago, I came downstairs to the office right in front of the utility billing, as I opened up my business from my home. And I asked them if I needed to have a local business tax receipt. And I explained to the lady what type of business it was. I sew curtains. I don't allow anyone in my house. As far as clients are concerned, I take the work outside. So at the time she stated to me I did not have to have one. However, when I started to engage or try to pursue opportunities for government contracts, they said local business tax receipt, and that's how I went to the county and I came here and inquired, started the process, and I stopped because I remember what the lady said to me. Now last year, accumulated, I started getting these notices on my door from the code enforcement. So December 14th, where they said December 15th I needed to have it paid or appear to a hearing. I came in December 14th and met with Mr. Padron. Because when it was initially asked what I do, I explained to the person twice. It wasn't Mr. Padron, but Mr. Padron came in the conversation. And I stated to him exactly what I just said. He showed me, I asked him, he showed me a list of all the invoices that was past due, about $2,000. And I said, I don't have that kind of money. So I said, fine, I'm going to give you a payment for 2022, 2023 tax year, because that's what I wrote on my check. Subsequently, I started continuing to get notices from the Code Enforcement Department to appear to a hearing. In March, I went to the Zoom meeting, and I explained what I just stated to the hearing officer, Jose Smith. And in the conversation, Jose Smith stated, one of the statements he made was he's a lawyer, he works from home as well, and for the fact that this is an accumulation, so there's such a thing as statute of limitations. So the attorney that was there, Crystal Patterson, said the city was going to look into it. Come towards May, before May, the next hearing, I'm getting a call from the code enforcement officer, Murillo Gennaro, stating that I needed to come. And I said, can I have someone email me the information, because I have not heard from the city that they were going to look into it. And he stated over the phone that I was going to get an email. No email received. So come May, to the next hearing, I started the statements that I mentioned just now, and Mr. Smith cut me off. He says, no, he doesn't want to hear anymore, go and pay the bill. And I said, I did pay the bill, I submitted a copy of my check. My only regret was I didn't send it in time in order for him to review it, to see that I made good faith effort to make the payment. Subsequently, I'm still getting the notices. What threatens me is since February, because unfortunately we are aware that the insurance rate went up. My mortgage, when I got my house back, was $1,100. When I had the current tenant in there, it moved up to $1,300. Right now it's $2,200. Since February of 2023, I have not paid my mortgage. Now, getting notices that I'm going to have a $5,000 per day fine. What's burdening me is I have to deal with my mortgage company and being threatened by the city versus being threatened by the city. I'm going to have a $5,000 a day penalty if I don't pay.
Can you repeat your address again?
488 Northeast 137th Street.
Okay. So you are, I represent you in my district.
I made an attempt to reach your rep, and he started the conversation by having an email sent out, which I saw one from Mr. Cook here, which one of the concerns was have what is the, what's the other thing, a certificate of use. And I met with one of his staff, which explained, which I'm not really clear on it, but that's not my concern. I can deal with the certificate of use later, is the fact that when I met with Padron again, he stated to me he took off some of it, and I have $1,400 that are left I have to pay, and I still have to go to a hearing.
Yes.
I can't afford $1,400.
Yes. First, I'm sorry, what's your name?
Jean Roberts,
Ms. Roberts,
Jean.
first of all, I want to apologize with, the back and forth, and I understand as a small business owner. The manager will have the neighborhood folks deal with you, the staff. I'm sorry, you had to, the process normally probably somebody should have dealt with you a little bit more. Yeah.
Yes, we apologize
yeah.
for the stress that we have caused you. Mr. Lazaro Riemann is the new director of the
Yes.
Neighborhood Services Department, formerly Code.
Okay.
And can you stand up? That's him right there. And he's going to help you and handle the situation.
So you could give him
And you will
every-
hear back
yes.
at last. Make sure you get her phone number and email address, and then we'll follow up with her in person as well tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
I apologize again. Thank you so much. Yes, Claudia? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Meyer. I'm actually a consultant for Amigo Investment Group located at 822 Northeast 125th Street. It just to let you guys aware, for the item of the alleyway use, so there's actually a part of the Biden administration grant where it allows you to apply for bicycle lanes and safety. That's something that you guys can look into in order to probably apply for a grant. Just letting you know.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Hello, Claudia Pasmino, 13504 Northeast 23rd Place. I actually, at Cassandra's event, I spoke to, I believe it was Public Works and Parks and Recreation, and it was something concerning the library, but then I'm like, well, let me bring it to you guys' attention. So next Wednesday, the library is going to have an event, chalk kindness on the sidewalks, but I did notice that our library needs a makeover. So I'm here to request that we can get a nice makeover before the 27th. It's just power wash, get rid of the gum on the floor. The little mini libraries that we have, those are faded. I noticed the one in the library, and somebody pointed out that there's one here in City Hall that was put in place by Mayor Smith Joseph. If you look at them, they're all faded. They don't look attractive. And so I was like, this doesn't look good, especially at the library. So if we can go around and making sure that all the mini libraries are updated, painted again. The books, the little,
The box.
my little library, there you go.
We do.
Yeah.
So it's,
No,
so that's
thank you
my
for that.
request
I'm
today.
always advocating for the library, for the carpet cleaning and. so
Well,
Paul
this time
will
we
get
need
on
a
it.
power wash
Yes.
outside and the
Outside.
bench, and there's little things that I had not been there in a while, and I'm there waiting, looking. I'm like, oh, this doesn't look good, especially if we're gonna have an event next Wednesday, painting, chalk on the streets and all that, and
Give
so
us some
little
TLC.
request this time. Thank you.
You guys are loaded.
Don't do the friend.
Claudia, thank you so much. Public hearing, anyone else? Public hearing is.
The mic.
Your mic.
We need to, thank you. Public hearing is.
Citizen forum.
Is that what it is? Public hearing is now closed.
Citizen forum.
No, this is citizen forum.
Yeah.
You saying citizen forum?
That's
I
what
thought
I'm
it's
saying. You
closed.
keep on saying
You can't say
public
public hearing.
Well,
The public hearing of Citizen Forum is now closed.
I'm like, it's closed.
10:49.
I'm trying to help you out. That's exactly what it is. We have a bet up here. It's 8:50 something. We're trying to get it to 9:15.
Okay.
Any report?
Yeah,
Well,
I'll do mine
counsel?
first, yeah.
We trying to. There's a strategy here.
No report. Thank you.
They take too long.
No report.
No report.
City Attorney.
I actually have a request. I'm sorry. I've spoken to each of you about a particular case, the Adriana Van Lots case. We're trying to settle that case. The attorney on the other side, they're insisting that we ratify. I explained to you that we were going to go ahead, the manager and I enter into a settled agreement and ratify it. They're insisting that we do it by the 27th. Which is the next meeting, which I'm going back. I don't think that's actually necessary, but what I'd like to do tonight is publicly ask you all to, I just take a vote, allowing me to go into the settlement agreement. We'll still bring it back to ratify because I'm not doing an executive session, but I want it publicly stated, because I've already told them we have the ability to settle this, but I want it publicly stated so I can point to them that we are doing this, that we're not turning back. I think the fear is that if we settled and you don't ratify it, that somehow we're going to back out of the agreement. I'm sure that we're not going to do that.
No, it's a discussion. Can you just tell us exactly the title, what you want us to?
So
to
I
vote on?
just
Motion.
a motion authorizing the city attorney and the
Okay.
city manager
Got
to settle
Do we-
the Van Lots
Okay.
litigation.
So I make a motion for the city to settle the Venlos.
Sure, and I second it.
As stated by the City Attorney. The motion is stated.
So, Madam Deputy, however he
We don't
would
need to open
state
it up to the.
As
No.
stated on the record,
Yes. And then
Mayor Desomay as stated on the record, motion to.
Yes. And it was seconded by
Grant the
Vice
city
Mayor.
attorney and city manager the authority to settle the Van Lots litigation.
Thank you. Seconded by Vice Mayor Estimate Irving. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Madam Manager,
No report, sir.
Anisha, any report?
No
On No Me
report.
Fest? No report, nothing?
No report.
You sure we don't have nothing to talk about?
Too early, too early.
You know, I'm trying to get the time here. Okay,
Move
thank
to
you.
adjourn.
Thank you.
Do we have a second?
We have-
No.
No, I'm sorry. No, not yet. No, don't pay that.
I'll withdraw my motion to adjourn.
Council report. Council.
10:50.
Councilman, oh no,
Oh, me?
Councilwoman District 3, and then we'll, District 2, and then we'll do 4, and then Vice Mayor, and then I'll do my little.
Okay. Want to say happy birthday to all the babies. It was Liam's 7th birthday, so happy birthday, Liam. And I know the city attorney and all those that are celebrating the month of June. Also want to thank departments, staff, Chanel, full State of the District address last week at the library. And also, I'll just be announcing that I have a series of pop-up at the parks that are going to be happening this summer. They're going to be like fun family Fridays where we're just going to have some activities, activating our parks, getting, the little ones out to the park. So look out for those dates. We'll be announcing them soon. And that is it for me. And don't forget about the summer reading program. I'm sponsoring the Treasure Trust item every Friday for those that have read. Come by the library, show your reading log, and you get to pick an item out of the treasure chest. So thank you, and that's it for me.
Thank you. And also congratulations on the amazing town hall, the State of the District you had last week. District 4?
Yes, thank you. I just want to start by saying congratulations to Councilwoman Timothy on that State of the District. Was a complete success and very nice. And also I want to say thank you to everyone who participated in the bike ride last Saturday. Thank you to all of you. It was fun. Thank you to our North Miami, the one and only one, our North Miami police. You guys were amazing. Did a very good job. And finally, I just want to say thank you to the city manager and staff for at least starting the conversation about the alleyways. It was like past time, and we need to stay on it until we get it done. As I said earlier, they do not represent our beautiful city of North Miami. We have to take care of it, of them, and this is just the beginning, and we are not going to sleep on it until we find a good resolution on those alleyways. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to congratulate the graduating class of 2023. I had the honor of joining the Alonzo and Tracy Morning High School and North Miami Senior High School, alongside with Board Member Geller and Board Member Steve Gallant. And I also attended with my colleagues, Mayor Dizume and Councilwoman Timothy. It was really nice seeing the graduates, really seeing our young youth starting a new chapter in their lives, seeing some of their parents with joy. So I just want to congratulate you all, North Miami residents, our youth, for your success. And I wish you the best in your journey. Also, I'd like to equally thank everyone who joined the past week for the Get in Gear community bike ride, which was in honor of Pride Month. The Get in Ride Back is held every second Saturday of the month. Thank you for our Parks and Recreation, North Miami Police, of course, we think you're the best, for consistently creating a safe space for us. Thank you for the month sponsors. Macondo Coffee, David Bakery Restaurant, Team of Hope, Greater North Miami Chamber of Commerce, and the Knight of Columbus. Also, please, again, join me this Thursday at Griffin Center for the Hurricane Preparedness Drive-Through Supply Distribution. The distribution will begin at 7 p.m. So please, first come, first serve. come out there. And last but not least, happy Father's Day to you all. And I yield the rest of my time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much, Vice Mayor. I just wanted to say a few words for the victim and those who are still suffering. Haiti was hit with two hurricanes 2 weeks ago. It's really, really bad. But we pray for a lot of us with families still back there. And as we are entering into the hurricane season, we just only pray that things get better. And for those in there, last week I attended the U.S. Conference of Mayors in Columbus, Ohio. And during the conference, I was appointed to the Job Education and Workforce Committee. In that committee, we end up doing a lot of great work. And this is the collective of mayors from all across the country. And one of the projects that we, as the committee, that we are working on is to work on a path, some resolution and policies that would help not only students in terms of education, but we have some other stuff that we are working on. One of the items is we are working with AmeriCorps and more information will be coming out, to bring NomiCorp to North Miami. I don't know why you're laughing, but so this is very, very exciting. And during the conference, they wanted us to be agent of, to announce this, the program, the PFL, PS, the program, what is it? Is the finance? Well, Miss Laura Woodley, the program from the Laura said what? From the Fed, when you get the money back from the public service, the PSL, yes, because I'm a member and I haven't gotten my stuff back. So they wanted us to announce to public, and thank you to Ms. Thomas, who actually nudged me years ago to go ahead and do that. They want us to announce to folks on the dais, as well as folks who work, encourage people to work in public service. The program was not working, so they want us to let people know that for the past 14 years, no one has gotten anything from the program except 2,000 people. But the Biden and Harris administration were able to fix it. As of last month, 640,000 people started to do so, and 2 million more are underway. So they want us to let folks know who are police officers, our police department, folks in City Hall, and all over, to encourage people to come and work in government. And yes, they're processing, making sure that your loans are forgiven. And they do apologize that for 14 years.
The Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program?
Correct. And it's been
Student loan payment starts back in October.
That's why that's why they were saying that for us to go ahead into that. They are going to write them off if you do the 120 qualifying credits, which equal to 10 years of service, and then you work for government. So anybody who's looking to work, parents out there, your kids, bring them to this space of public service, of giving back to the community. And they don't have to pay for college after 10 years. And it's pretty good. So I've done my part in terms of that. There's also will be a flood information workshop on Thursday, June 15th, which Tracy mentioned at the Joe Celestine Center, 6:30 and 7, and you come and insurance saving for FEMA update, mitigation, and other things. So all residents are encouraged to attend. And I think that's basically it. And
what's our
the
CRS
administration-
rating right now? Do we know what our CRS rating is right now, Madam Manager? Or do we know what it constitutes in terms of a flood discount for the residents? No.
I believe our rating is a 6 right now. We've been
No.
able to maintain it at a level 6.
Oh.
And I believe the discount is about 20%.
20? Ew.
Special flood hazard area, and I believe 10% in X. Sorry.
Yeah, come to the
Go
mic.
ahead. Let us.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. So our current CRS rating is 6. It translates to 20% in the special flood hazard area, and I believe 10% in non-special flood hazard area, or Area X.
And if we were a rating 1, what would that percentage be if we were a 1? Do
I
we know?
believe, I think
No? Okay.
nationally, I don't think any community is a rating 1.
I know, no one. I'm just saying,
What-
we
what-
used to be a 5. Because
So
I know
what's the best one?
1 is the
One.
best.
One.
No, I
One's
know,
the
but nobody's really a 1. Is 3? Where
mean,
we
there's-
trying to be?
There's a, I think, Town of Cutler Bay just got a 4,
Oh, okay.
so.
The mayor
that's like,
just
what,
texted me, by the
30%
way. Well,
discount?
the mayor texted me about something. I won't be here. Maybe about some coastal things. So find out what they doing something.
We actually took a look at how far we worked with the state to see how far we were from a 5 to go down to a 5. And so some of the different things that we've been doing will help us push down. I'm not promising that we're going to get there, but doing the outreach was one of the things so we can get a lot of points for that. So we've been
But
monitoring our points.
I also think that we should be talking to other cities just to figure out, folks who are doing good things, just to find out, hey, how we doing? For example, I've been asking about our accounts getting verified, and there's other local accounts who have. So some departments have figured it out, and we haven't in terms of that. So, on that note, so thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
On that note, Madam Manager, I want to say, great job. I know that a lot of staff are excited about the Juneteenth cook-off. I won't be here. They did it because they know I won't be here. 'Cause,
Ooh, it is.
so, they throwing shade, Councilwoman. It's okay. But I won tonight because it's 9/12.
You know what? Motion to adjourn.
Officially. That's right. Fake news, yeah.
Fake news, fraudulent.
Fake news, but now, so I don't know if I can even get a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Yeah, at the exact
Second.
time, Councilman.
Second.
Thank you, Councilwoman, thank you.
I have a motion made by Councilman
At
Charles.
what time the motion was made?
It's, 9:11. Motion
'Cause
made
you
by
had a soliloquy
Councilman
to say,
Charles to
that's why.
adjourn, seconded by Councilwoman Timothy. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Item